Hello and welcome to today's video. So this is my May wrap up. I read a lot of books this month. I had a very good reading month. In fact, I would say this is my best reading month ever, like in all time. Before we get into it, I do just want to say, as I'm recording this, you'll hopefully be seeing this tomorrow, and as of right now I am 6 subscribers away from hitting 1,000 subscribers, which is just absolutely insane. So I just wanted to say, if you are watching this and you're not subscribed, please do. The button will be just below. Yeah, I think it'd be really cool to hit 1,000, and it's definitely a goal of mine that I would like to achieve. So yeah, if you're not subscribed and you're watching right now, please do. I'm just 6 away from hitting that goal. And yeah, now I've got that out of the way, let's get into the video. So this month I read 17 books. Like, what? What? And it wasn't just a good month in terms of the amount of books. They've also been quite chunky books. I read 7,001 pages this month. 7,001 pages. Yeah, honestly, like, I don't know how this happened. I have had a few days this month where I have just like given myself time off, like I haven't felt amazing, so I've just given myself a few days to just relax, and one of the ways that I relax is read, and that has obviously helped in this, but still doesn't explain just how I've read so much. Yeah, it's quite insane. I don't even know how to show these. I don't even going to be able to pick them up. I've got a little basket, so I'm going to try and maybe stack them on top of that basket as well. Let's have a go. Okay, you can already see the top of this. So these are all the books. Yeah, so I read all of these, and I also read one ebook as well, so there is also like one more book than what you can see here. She's just absolutely insane. I'm going to put this down before it falls because I can feel it toppling. Oh my goodness. So yeah, honestly, because this is going to take so long to get through and like go through, I figured I should just get into it. So this month I have read 11 fantasy books, 3 contemporary books, 2 poetry books and 1 science fiction book. And it's been a really good month in terms of star ratings as well. I've had 1 3-star, 3 4-stars, 6 4.5 stars and 7 5-stars. Like, yeah, honestly, like, this month has just been insane. I don't know what's happened, like, it's just been insane for reading. And I do give high ratings, like, relatively easily, you know, like, it doesn't need to be a masterpiece, but, like, I don't read this well. Yeah, I'm very happy with how this month has turned out. And yeah, I think those are all of, like, the interesting statistics here, so I should just get into it. So first up this month I read The Lost Hero, which is book 1 in the Heroes of Olympus series. Earlier this year I finished the Percy Jackson series. That's the Lightning Thief and all of those. What are they called? Percy Jackson and the Olympian. So I finished all of that series and I just wanted to get a start on the next, so I picked this up. Okay, within the span of the last couple of minutes the sun has just completely disappeared, so I've turned some lights on and hopefully it still looks okay, but who knows. But yeah, so I wanted to start the next series. I own 4 of the 5 books in this next series that follows on from the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series, so I just wanted to get it started, and honestly this did not disappoint. I gave this 4 stars. I enjoyed it. It didn't have as much growth from the earlier series, which I would class as kind of like between middle grade and YA. It's very young, and because there was a bit of a time jump, I thought we'd have maybe grown up a bit, we'd have maybe got a bit more, and I feel like that's why it didn't get the full 5 stars. This is definitely a YA series and it's really interesting, it's really good, there's so much going on, but for the ages that these characters are meant to be, I just wasn't vibing 100%, but it was still really, really good. I enjoyed all of the new characters. Our main like 3 characters that we're following a lot of were completely new characters, like we didn't know them, and they did get like their introduction in this book, but then we also saw characters from the other books. So we saw Annabeth, the mentions of Percy, we saw like the like camp counsellors and like all of the people who like are usually at camp. We saw them mentioned, we saw them here and there, so it was nice because it had familiarity in that sense. But yeah, 4 stars, really good, not 100. Then after that I read We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. This is my first Nina LaCour book. They're an author that I've been wanting to read from for quite a while, and I eventually just took the plunge this month and went for it, and it was really, really good. This book dealt with like so much. The biggest thing I would say that it dealt with was grief, but not in a way that you'd typically expect. There definitely were just like generalizations and markers of someone grieving and going through grief, but there were so many other things, and there was so much that was happening, and the writing style itself was like so lyrical is the best way I can think to describe it. But essentially there'd be like little things mentioned, like there'd be a painting described or something like that, and then much further on in the book there'd be reference to how they were feeling like that painting, but they wouldn't go in to like why they felt like that painting, because earlier in the book they described how that painting made them feel, like just something like that. But that happened quite a bit, and it was really amazing. I really enjoyed it, and I just thought it was a really great book. I don't read a lot of contemporary, but it's something that I've always wanted to try and figure out what sort of contemporary I like what do I like, what can I enjoy. And there definitely are contemporary books I enjoy, but I find them much more difficult to find. But reading this has made me definitely want to pick up more Nina LaCour in the future. And then after that I also read Eleanor, Oliphant is Completely Fine. This was my 3-star for the month. I didn't really vibe with it, I'm not gonna lie. I found it irritating, annoying and immature. I don't want to hate on it because it was a really good book, technically speaking. Like if I had to be like objective and not think about how the book made me feel and how irritated I was getting and all this and all that, like I can see why it's a good book, I can see why people enjoy it. Just on a personal level, I didn't vibe. I really didn't vibe with it. I did do a reading vlog for both this book and the We Are Okay. They're both in the same vlog, so I will link it up above. I definitely do go more into my feelings and thoughts and what I disliked and liked. But the best way I can describe this was it was just okay. It was just okay. Yeah, which obviously is fine, you know, when reading. If you think a book's okay, that's not a bad thing. But I aim to read books that I'm really going to enjoy. I want to read the best books that are suited for me, that I'm going to fully enjoy and fully love and get the most out of. And I just didn't with this one. Then I'm going to kind of bunch some of these next ones together. So I think first of all I'll say I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, which is book 1 in the ACOTAR series, and I really, really enjoyed this. I did a reading vlog, and I will say I gave this 5 stars. And then I read this one, which is book 2, and I gave it 5 stars. And then I read this one, which was book 3, and I gave it 5 stars. And then I also, in that same reading vlog, also read A Court of Frost and Starlight, which is like a tiny little novella, and I gave it 4 stars. It was alright. Nowhere near as good as these, but like the size difference alone can probably tell you why. Like this was just a little nice novella. It wasn't meant to be a big impactful story like these. This one got 4 stars. So these 4 books together, which is books 1, 2, 3, I think this one is classed as like 3.5. Really, really enjoyed them. Had a really great time reading them, and really enjoyed the experience. As I said, I vlogged the whole thing. It was great, it was amazing, and I don't really have much more to say about this. You've probably heard of the ACOTAR series. If you haven't, go watch the vlog if you want. I don't know. Book 1, we follow Feyre, who accidentally, is that a spoiler? Kills a magical creature and essentially has to go to the Fey realm. And we follow on from there, and honestly I feel like this is best to go into it as blind as possible, because there's so many twists and turns and so many amazing things that happen, and it was just great. And these 4 books here are like kind of the completion of the Feyre storyline, or at least the storyline we're getting from her perspective. So I finished the vlog here, and then I also in the month read A Court of Silver Flames, which is the next book within this series, but it doesn't follow Feyre anymore. In this one we follow Nesta, who is Feyre's sister, and same realm, same world. We have different characters who show up in this book who have been in these books, but it does mainly follow Nesta and what's going on in her life and her friends and how she sees the world. And obviously some of the characters that we've met in this book and we like or dislike or whatever can come across very differently in this one, because in this one we get in how Feyre perceives these characters, and in this one we get in how Nesta perceives these characters. And it was really interesting. It was, yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I gave this one 5 stars as well. So yeah, throughout the month I also did read all of the books that are currently out in the ACOTAR series and really had a good time reading this. And after that I kind of realised that I do like the writing style of Sarah J Maas and how she writes, and started the Throne of Glass series. Now when I was a lot younger I did read Throne of Glass. I think I read the first 2 books, I'm pretty sure. The first 2 I could kind of recall, which I'm probably just giving away. I also read book 2. So yeah, Throne of Glass I gave 4 stars. I still really enjoyed it, but going back to this after reading the ACOTAR series, you could definitely see that like she has like grown in writing style. I wouldn't say in story, because by book 2 I'd given this one 5 stars. Really amazing, really good. In this one we follow Selena Sardofian, who is a deadly assassin who is competing in a competition with the royal family, royal household. There's lots of stuff going on. Again, like, I don't know how to do these wrap-ups properly. I haven't vlogged any of this, like I haven't recorded anything. This has just been a book that I've just been picking up from time to time and enjoying. And yeah, it was really, really good, but I would still recommend going into it so blind, which makes me not be able to talk about a lot of it. But I read book 1, I read book 2, I read book 3, I read the prequel, and I also read book 4. So again, this has been a series I've been really enjoying. I have been reading this one a lot more slower. Obviously the other Sarah J Maas series I read quite fast because I was vlogging it, and I just read it in like the space of just over a week, I think. And this one I've read slower, just throughout the month, just getting through it. And there are more books in this series. This series is now complete. There are 3 more books to read, and I'm just slowly reading them and enjoying them and just having them as like a little side thing that like I'm just picking up when I want and really, really enjoying. So as I've already said, I gave book 1 4 stars, book 2 5 stars, I gave book 3 4.5 stars, and also the prequel and book 4 4.5 stars. So overall all of these have got between a 4 and a 5 star, most of which 4.5. And this story just adapts and changes in so many ways, so many unexpected ways, but not unexpected as in like this is stupid, this is no longer making sense. Like, even though you don't expect it, and even though like from book 1 to book 4, completely different things going on. Like, such a change of events, such a change of pace. But it's believable because of how many little Easter eggs were left, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and seeing these characters change and grow and become new people. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, I definitely have left like a cheeky hint in there. So yeah, really enjoyed this book, well, this book series, and yeah, definitely plan to continue reading as well. Then actually, when I ordered the A Court of Silver Flames, it didn't go up to free delivery, so I had a little look through my like wish list and everything to just make it up that little bit to the free delivery, and ended up picking up To Build a Home. This is by Hannah Mian, and the reason I picked this one up is because earlier this year I read Pangea, which is their like newer poetry prose book that is out, and loved it. I gave it 5 stars. It was like such an amazing eye-opener to be like, I can give poetry 5 stars, it can be that good. and this is the only book that they've got on their like backlist, so I thought this was just the perfect time to pick it up, and I read it and I gave it 5 stars. So still just as good, even though it was written before and obviously like written when they were younger. It was just still so amazing. Like, I will honestly pick up anything by this author. Like, that's how you spell their name here, Henna Mian. And yeah, just really, really good. Really enjoyed it. This poetry book mainly talks about and deals with domestic violence and a lot of things surrounding that. Like, it's definitely not all that, but that is definitely what I picked out to be the main topic and the main conversation point that was going on throughout this. And it was just so interesting. It was so like moving and impactful and felt so personal. Like, you could really just tell that this author was just picking every individual thing that they said and like how they wrote everything so precisely, and it just really portrayed so many messages throughout this. Really enjoyed it, and yeah, as I've already said, I will pick up anything that this author puts out. Then my only sci-fi book for the month was All Systems Red. This is book 1 in the Murderbot Diaries, and this was actually a reread for me. I read All Systems Red last year. I found a paperback version of this in a charity shop. I'd already heard of it and couldn't believe that I was finding it in a charity shop, so yeah, picked it up, read it, loved it, gave it 4.5 stars last year, and I've wanted to continue the series ever since. And yeah, the reason I didn't carry on with this straight away was just because there was no easy way to continue on with it, basically. So I've got book 1 in paperback. Turns out the rest of them just aren't available in paperback. So I looked into the hardback. These are very short books. They're really quite expensive, I personally feel, to buy. So the way that I got around this was getting my boyfriend to read it and fall in love with it. So he'd buy the rest of them, so I now own the rest of them. He's almost finished them, but like I'll get to them soon, I hope. That's why I wanted to reread this, so I was ready to continue on with them. The only real affordable way that I found of buying books 2, 3 and 4 was in a box set that also included book 1. So I now have book 1 in hardback and the rest of the series, basically. So we did actually do a like book exchange tour around our local area. So we did leave book 1 in like one of the book exchanges, so hopefully someone else can find that. But yeah, I gave this 4.5 stars. I've really lost track of what I was trying to say, to be honest. I've given it 4.5 stars on a reread, which is the exact same as what I gave it the first time round. Really enjoy this book, enjoy the story, enjoy the characters, and I'm excited to keep following our main character, Murderbot. Yeah, I don't really have a lot else to say. The world is very interesting in this. The things that are happening, the people are very interesting. Because it's such a short book and this all took place in a relatively isolated place, we only got to see a very small portion of people, of which we know are kind of like the outliers to the rest of society and how they think and how they do things. So I'm hoping that in the future books we will see more of the rest of the world and how people within the rest of the worlds, still not 100% completely sure on all of that, but yeah, how they do things and treat things that are going on. I don't know how easily to say this without giving away spoilers, but yeah, very intrigued as to where the rest of the series is going to take us, what characters we're going to see more of, what characters are going to disappear and what new characters we're going to meet. And then after that I read Poukahangatus. This was a very short ebook that I read. It was essentially poetry and short stories, and it very much seemed pretty 50-50 in how the book was set out. And the author is they describe themselves as a 21st century indigenous woman, and it was very much talking about that and still having, you know, that indigenous identity but in the 21st century and how things are changing and how things now are, and so many things. It was a very short book. It was literally, like, I'm not actually sure how short it was. 96 pages it says on Goodreads. but there was so much content there. I felt like I learnt so much, but through reading, I'd say especially the short stories, there were so many emotions going on, so many things happening, and I really felt like I was, even in, you know, some of the short stories were only like 2 pages long, 3 pages long, and I still felt like fully enwrapped in them and fully wanting to know more and learn more. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stars because I just wasn't 100% like in there, 100% see it. And honestly, I do feel like if I'd read it other months it might have got the full 5, but because I'd read another like poetry book that did get 5, I did kind of compare it a bit. But yeah, still got 4.5 stars. Really enjoyed it, and I definitely want to get a physical copy of this once you can in the UK. Currently you can only get the physical copy in, I think it's Australia and America. But yeah, we'll definitely 100% be picking up the physical copy when it comes to the UK. That's how I read it, because it was through NetGalley that I got that one. So not out yet, but really excited for when it does come out. And then last but not least this month, I read Felix Ever After. I'm so happy that I managed to get around to reading this one. It has been on a few TBRs now and I just haven't got around to it, and I just decided this month was the month. I was really feeling a contemporary story. I read a lot of fantasy, and I had read a couple of contemporaries already this month, but right at the very start, and I just wanted something a bit lighter and a bit nicer to finish the month out on. So I decided to pick Felix Ever After up, and I was not disappointed. I gave this 5 stars. Yeah, it was so good, so good. I didn't know what to expect going into this, to be honest, because as I've said, I do struggle with contemporary, and I was worried that it was just going to be a romance. So on the back it says Felix Love has never been in love, and then further down it kind of explains who Felix is. So black, queer and transgender are kind of like the labels that Felix has, and they were exploring there, and I was expecting that. And I was expecting some like real worldness, but on top of there being just this like fluffy contemporary romance with like real world issues in there, there was also a lot more. Like there was an entire maybe like mystery. I don't know, I don't read a lot of mystery books either, but there were so many things that I was trying to figure out whilst reading this, and trying to guess and trying to decide who's good, who's bad, who can Felix trust. Like, is Felix putting his trust in the wrong person? Yeah, it was really interesting, really good, and I'm really glad I read it. It's such a short book and it happens over such a short span of time. I'm not going to say any more in fear of ruining it, because I went into this so blind. Like, I'd only ever read the back and that's how I went into it, and I'm so glad, because it really shocked me with how good it was and how many different things were like encompassed within this book. So yeah, those were all of the books that I read during May, which is crazy. It is now June 1st and I'm filming this. Hopefully it will be out to you tomorrow, and I'm just hoping that I can keep up this momentum and keep up with all of this going throughout June as well. So yeah, fingers crossed I will be here with just as an exciting and just as a voluminous set of books at the end of June. But yeah, we will have to wait and see for that one. I really hope that you enjoyed the video. Do give it a like if you liked it, subscribe down below if you'd like to see more videos like this, and hopefully I will see you next time. Bye.